Many Canadians are very open about their sexuality and sex as a beautiful thing, but we weren't that intelligent back in the day. But this lady, who recently died as one of the most important, what they call sex advice or therapist persons in world history, up there with Dr. Ruth. If anything, a little bit more direct and a little bit more knowledgeable for obvious reasons. Sue Johanson, she passed away in recent days, June 28, 2023. Now, this Canadian registered nurse and sex educator was came to major prominence years and years ago when she operated a birth control clinic in Toronto, the first of its kind, and hosted a series of radio and TV programs on birth control, safer sex, and sexual health. She also published several books and wrote a newspaper column promoting sexual health. Now, born Susan Avis Bailey Powell in Toronto, July 29th, 1930, to Wilfred Powell, a decorated British war hero, and an affluent Ontario-born Irish Protestant mother, Ethel Bell. Her mother died when she was 10. She eventually attended nursing school in St. Boniface Hospital, Winnipeg, graduating as her RN. Soon after, she married a Swedish-Canadian electrician named Eleanor Johanson in 1953. She had 3 children, Carol, Eric, and Jane. The family eventually moved to North York, where Johanson kept house and raised their children. Now, in 1970, Johanson opened a birth control clinic in Don Mills CI High School, the first of its kind in Canada. She worked there as a coordinator for 16 years. She continued her education at the Toronto Institute of Human Relations, which was a postgraduate course in counseling and communication, the U of T, family planning, and the University of Michigan, human sexuality, graduating as a counselor and sex educator. Now, she first achieved popularity as a sex educator therapist, hosting her own show on rock radio station Q107 during the 1980s. The show, entitled Sunday Night Sex Show, transitioned into a TV talk show with the same name on the community TV Rogers had at the time in 1985. In 1996, it became a national show on the Women's Television Network, which ended in 2005, although the show was syndicated as well before on WTN. Now, in January 2002, reruns of the show began to be replayed to American audiences on Oxygen Media. The recorded program was very popular, but American viewers missed the opportunity to call in and ask their own questions. The U.S. version of Sunday Night Sex Show, called Talk Sex with Sue Johanson, produced especially for American audiences, debuted in November 2002 on Oxygen. And it just like it seems, people would call up with sexual questions and problems, gay, straight, whatever, and she had a very interesting tone. She would never say there was any stupid questions, just that if you're not informed, you're not going to enjoy something that's as important as it is. Now, on May 7, 2008, it was announced that the next Sunday night's episode of the show would be its last, ending the show's run after 6 seasons on Oxygen. Now, Johanson made numerous appearances on The Late Show with David Letterman, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and Late Night with Conan O'Brien. Called in the media the poor man's Ruth. But Ruth Westheimer is okay, but like I said, I always like Sue better because Sue seemed to really put everything in perspective from a Canadian, effort. Now, she also became major prominence with younger kids in Canada by appearing in 2 episodes of Degrassi Junior High and 2 episodes of Degrassi The Next Generation. She played Dr. Sally, a radio host and sex educator who served as an in-universe version of Johanson. Of course, the famous Wet Dream episode where they call in to Dr. Sally and she basically explains the nuances of what he called puberty. Now, a full-length documentary about Johanson was released in 2022 entitled Sex with Sue. The documentary chronicles Johanson's life story, directed by Canadian documentarian Elisa Rideout. She unfortunately died in Thornhill, Ontario on June 28, 2023. She was an author of 3 books, Talk Sex, Sex is Perfectly Natural but Not Naturally Perfect, and Sex, 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 and More Sex. Now, she was also the author of a weekly column published in the health section of Toronto Star. Now, her work educating and informing the public about birth control and sexual health earned her the Order of Merit and the Order of Canada in 2001. In 2010, she was presented with the Bottom Center Award from the Mark S. Bottom Center for Sexual Diversity for her contributions to advancement and education of issues around sexual identity. She will be missed, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone should have a grandmother like Sue, and she guided us all in those tough times. Have a good one.